I think reading meaningfully as an adult may affect people around me. So I would just confine my understanding of this topic within that framework. I would say yes, if you read as an adult and in a meaningful way, you can affect the people around you. I think I'm maybe repeating what Prof has said on your first session. Yes, you did say that, yeah. As an example, because otherwise I don't have anything else to say, because I'm just repeating Prof. As an example, if we were to read Kafka Metamorphosis, for example, I think some of us have read it. If we read it in a very cursory and on the surface of it, it's just a story of a man who woke up one day and to find himself turned into an insect. And he was the provider for this family. But because he turned into an insect and therefore rendered himself useless, his family then ostracized him. And he was feeling very upset because he's no longer a human being. And what happened was that the family tried to get rid of him, and him knowing that the family wanted to get rid of him, I think he resorted to commit suicide or kill himself. So if you read it in that manner, well, that's all that you get from the book. But I don't think Kafka wrote this Metamorphosis with no meaning, with no message. But it is much more than that. If you read it carefully and you put your soul into it and you think beyond what is written here, you find that probably what he meant was that there is maybe a death and a birth of soul. Yeah, maybe you die when you became something else, or you are born into something else. There is also the message of ostracized. Oh no, it can also be ostrich when you. Yes. The theme of isolation, the feeling of guilt, the feeling helplessness. So these are the emotions that you get from reading a fiction, but you read it in a discerning or critical. You separate yourself. I'm borrowing Dr. Chua's word. You know, she's there. Yeah. So you get that, and when you get that kind of feelings from reading a fiction, a book like this, I think in some way it may mellow you down. It may make you feel differently. It may make you empathize with people. You in turn then become a better person. And that, I think, what reading is all about. Yes, that is how I think reading as an adult can or should affect the people around you, maybe eventually the society.
All right. Taking from, okay, I wish to elaborate from what you say, from what I see. Reading as an adult, affecting society. Okay. The other aspect of it, reading as an adult, how then does it improve society from the standpoint of information? Maybe Doc, we can.
Thank you. I think reading among adults, right, would two main features come to my mind, and these were also touched upon by Ms. Jazz just now in her opening. She says adults who read become role models for others. So that goes back to our discussion on the first day when we spoke about children looking up to their parents and other people in society to be their role models. And when these people read, then obviously the children will pick up as well. And secondly, it was mentioned by Jess just now, that adults are also obliged to be knowledge seekers when they read. I would add on to this to say that adults, particularly parents, should also look at themselves as knowledge transmitters. And therefore, they have an obligation to read, even if they didn't like to read, because they not only act as role models, but by acquiring this knowledge, they are able to transmit this to others, namely their children. So these are the two main areas that are important in terms of the roles that adults can play in terms of being a role model, and parents in transmitting this knowledge to their children. But if you look at the other aspects of how this affects society, is what you asked me just now, I think a lot of it has been answered by Ms. Nas here, who spoke about how reading brings about an individual's ability to explore the characters that he reads and allows him to empathize in his interactions in society. And here I would like to distinguish between the reading on social media or a digital platform, which is usually a very short duration. And some might argue and say, what's the difference between obtaining knowledge or information from this compared to reading a longer piece of literature? And that is something that we must be able to answer. And I'll just finish this off. Just to just add on to that is the fact that there is a big difference when you read a longer piece of literature, whether it is fiction or academic, because it then allows you to understand the importance of patience, of how do you probe, how do you navigate through this entire narrative, rather than depending on short-term gratification, like within 40 seconds you need to know the answer to this. So that is the real difference in an adult compared to children we had discussed earlier.
I wish for you or anyone on the panel to pick up from this point. The amount of misinformation around available to us, and how does reading help us discern between good information and misinformation, fake news, misinformation? Because there are a lot of reading material available in short spurts especially within social media.
I think that it goes back to the whole premise that there is short-term gratification versus long-term gratification. And there are statistics also to show, I believe, that in Malaysia now adults are more inclined to read material which is for very short duration, either on social media or in the internet or something like that, because they quickly want to get to the end of it. They no longer wait for the twist in the tail, and that's what happens when you read a longer piece of literature. So your mind opens up into accepting any possible outcome or ending if you're reading a novel. Even if you're reading an academic paper, in between you are actually subconsciously entertaining all different possibilities. Now, this longer reading makes you more patient and more absorbed in the plot, whether it is fiction or not. So that is the real difference here. And to answer your question very specifically, this